Uh, im- okay, able to see my screen, right? Yeah, yeah. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to talk about sidecar pattern. So it's one of the architecture design patterns similar to microservices. Like this is also one of the pattern that we can apply in our microservices. So uh, the agenda, it is divided into total 7 points. So the first one I'm going to talk about what is the context and what are the problems current systems are facing, and then what is a sidecar and how it is useful and when to use that sidecar, and also when not to use this pattern. And also when you are implementing sidecar, there are some considerations and issues that we need to take care while implementing it, and also some of the practical examples in the real world scenario. And we also use this sidecar pattern in one of our projects, so I will demonstrate that use case. So let's start with the first one, the context and problem. So most of the applications, any microservices that you take, right? So it serves two main functionalities. Like one is the core functionality. Let's say if it is user service or some inventory management service. So the core functionality is to have that like user management or inventory management, this thing. But also there are some additional functionalities that go along with this microservice. Like you need to have monitoring, you need to have logging, right? You need to, let's say you want to implement some authentication authorization, you want to implement some RBAC policy. So these are all considered like a peripheral task, that go in addition to the main core functionality, right? So let's say there are different microservices, like three different microservices, and then you are, if you have to implement all of these things like monitoring, logging and all, so most of the use cases, they are embedded within the microservice itself to handle this functionality. So these components within the service, they can be separated out from the main core functionality, and the main the microservices can service can actually deal with only the core functionality instead of maintaining all the other peripheral tasks which it has. So this is one of the major problem which you have, because you have to repeat this logic in every of the service that you have in your system, right? and and the second problem is they are not well isolated. Outage of one component will lead to outage of the entire system altogether. Like if the main system is down, your monitoring, your logging, everything is down now. So it is sometimes difficult to debug also. So this peripheral task, if they can be segregated out from the main functionality, they can be monitored better, and outages can be handled much efficiently, right? And also there is a language and technology dependent. Like if you consider the previous scenario, logging and monitoring and things like that. So you, if you, let's say if you have three different microservices written in three different languages, right? Like Golang, Node.js, and let's say Java, right? So you have to implement this logging or monitoring with the respective languages separately, which is going in hand with the parent application, right? Let's say if you are using like Prometheus for monitoring, right? You have to use Node.js SDK, and then for your Node application, and then you have to go for Golang. And so there's a tight dependency of this one. So these are repetitive things which needed across microservices, but due to the language or the technology constraint, this needs to be implemented separately in a different technology altogether, which is like a repetition on itself, right? This is also one of the issues. And also what happens is the this will form a close dependent with the main application, right? Let's say if you want to do same Prometheus, right? So you have to do it in Node.js because your main application is in Node.js now, right? So there's a huge dependency of this additional peripheral task component with the main component. So these are some of the issues, or these are some of the problems or context that we are trying to solve. So how do we solve all these problems in through sidecar pattern, right? So now going back to, yeah, what is a sidecar, right? So sidecar is a component of the main application which is attached to the parent application and providing supporting features. So what does it mean by that is it so if you think of a motorcycle like this, right? Like the main engine or the main the bike, whatever you're seeing here, is your main application. The sidecar is nothing but a just, it is attached to the main application, and you can have multiple sidecars, and it can be attached to whichever main application that you want. So this is like an analogy that you can think of, like it's not a separate microservice altogether. It's just a simple component deployed along with your parent application and performing all the supporting tasks that it needs by the parent application. So this is what a sidecar means actually. And also what it does is like it shares the same life cycle, meaning that if you are deploying a microservice, this sidecar component also gets created at the same time and also gets retired at the same time. So the sidecar will always follow whatever life cycle the parent application is following. So like in your, let's say if you're monitoring service, you need it only when the main application is running it, right? So that's why like when the main application boots up, the sidecar component also gets booted up, and then it retires accordingly when you shut down that microservice. And there are also some other names that given to the sidecar pattern. It's called sidekick pattern and decomposition pattern. So there are these are just other names refer to the same sidecar. So when is this sidecar pattern useful, right? If your primary application, like let's say an example of like a grocery app or some e-commerce website app, right? Like you have n number of microservices, and then you need to have this common task or these supporting features. And if all of these services are written in different languages and different frameworks altogether, so this is where you can make use of sidecar pattern, and then you use it in your systems. And also if the component is owned by remote system, so generally what happens is like monitoring, logging and all is managed by a different team. Like let's say operations team wants to do some monitoring stuff, right? And also like L1 L2 support team, they need to access logs, right, in order to troubleshoot some issues, and also some infra guys. So uh, ideally this monitoring and all will not be part of the main team who is actually implementing this application, but like an operations or some different team. So that what happens, this sidecar can have its own deployment. They can have this own life cycle in the sense like they can go through the upgrades on its own, and this can be segregated out into a different team altogether. So if that is the use case, I mean, if your team is having like have to maintain all this monitoring, logging stuff as a separate team, the sidecar will be much useful. And the other use case is if the feature must be co-located on the same host. So example, same thing like monitoring, right? Like, so you need, let's say if your microservices is hosted in one VPC and then your component is located in other VPC. So you need to have this interaction between these two, right? And you need the metrics only when they are up and running. So that means your supporting application or your sidecar needs to be run along with the main application. So if your component like RBAC or monitoring such kind of components, if you want to have along with your main host, so then this will be a very good use case to have a sidecar pattern. Example is like RBAC also, like you don't need it all the time, right? Like you need it only when the service is up and running, right? And the other case is like you need to, like if the service need to share the same life cycle of your main application and can be independently updated. Like it's similar to the previous point, like it will have its own updates going on, different patches versions going on, and your main application will be having uh, like its independent updates, but both of them should have the same life cycle shared. So you can use this sidecar pattern, right? And also you can fine grain control. So what happens, like in some scenarios where you allocate some resources, right? Like let's say if your logs are so huge, right? And if your CPU utilization is like 5% of your main application, it's not a correct use case, right? Like because your logs is now, if it is embedded within your main application, so your main application will control the resource whatever it needs. So if you need fine grained control of these components, like, okay, I need only 1% of my CPU utilization to happen on logs or metrics. So if you need this fine grained control over resources on those components, then sidecar pattern will be much useful in that scenario. So these are all the some of the scenarios where sidecar pattern will be useful. So yeah, example is this one. So you have this, so this is a Kubernetes pod. So you have the main container and you can deploy the side container and you can have the same shared state here. And then your all the other supporting tasks like configuration, logging, monitoring, and all that stuff can go here. And then your primary app core functionality can be in the main container. And they both can be deployed in the same pod altogether. Okay. Uh, so next thing is like when not to use sidecar pattern. So sidecar pattern is like useful. It solves many problems and it can be updated independently, different remote team and all. This is all fine. But there are some cases where uh, the trade-off is not worthy enough to go with sidecar. So some of the like use cases is like if this will become an inter-process communication now. So previously the component is within the same process or the main application. So you will not have any latency issues or any other issues. So, but if it is the moment it is removed out and it becomes a different process, so the inter-process communication will have some overhead on the network latency calls. And let's say if you are having a chat application, right, which should not have any latency at all or very minimal latency, and introducing sidecars might cause some issues. It might cause network delays or latency issues. So these kind of scenarios, we should not use sidecar pattern. Okay. And also, let's say if your application is very small, okay, and I mean, it's not too huge, like there are n number of microservices and you need to deploy like a sidecar and all, like because it involves some cost of deploying separately, right? So if the application is very small and then you can simply embed within your main application, the advantages of having a isolation of sidecar will not be useful at all in this case. So yeah, the other case is like when the service needs to scale differently. So what I mean by that is, let's say you want to scale horizontally, right? Like if you have three different instances running of a microservice, and then if you want to scale uh, horizontally, so you will scale all the microservices all together, right? So that means, let's say if your logging and monitoring is part of the main application, the logging also will scale accordingly, right? But ideally, you don't need uh, logging and this additional things to scale at the same rate, right? So what you can do is you don't need to put that as a sidecar because unnecessarily they will also get scaled, right? Like if you put it as a sidecar. So instead of that, you can deploy it as a separate service altogether instead of putting it as a sidecar. So these are some of the cases where sidecar pattern is not useful. Okay. Okay, let me pause for like a minute if you have any questions or anything till now before going further. Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. One question I had, so assuming I'm making some kind of a multi-tenant application where I have different organizations accessing my backend,
Okay.
and I want to use these microservices, I want to ensure um, data security across tenants.
Okay.
Will sidecars be useful to enable some kind of policy security with respect to access to database?
Yes, yes. So that is exactly our use case also, Sudhir. Like one of the, I mean, the last slide which I'm going to talk about, it is implementing RBAC and PBAC as a sidecar.
Mhm.
Let's say, so our, let's say we have a database connectivity, you have exposed some APIs, right? So we have dedicated VPCs for different tenants or clients, right?
Mhm.
And then we deployed our policy agent as a sidecar. So that policy agent will take care of using, I mean, implementing all the RBAC, PBAC, and everything. So maybe in the
Okay.
seventh slide, there is a whole
Okay.
diagram of that actually.
Okay. Then we'll get to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Moving further. So there are some considerations that you need to do, like what is your deployment pattern looking like? If you are using Docker containers and if you're using Kubernetes to deploy, so the containers are very well suited for this sidecar pattern. If you are using any other deployment pattern, it might not be as useful to use sidecar pattern. And then let's say, yeah, we have to be very careful of the communication mechanism that happens between sidecar and the main application. Because let's say if your sidecar is using gRPC to communicate with your main application, right? And then if your main application doesn't have any gRPC support at all, right? So you cannot implement this sidecar into any other microservice now, right? So we have to be very careful of framework or language agnostic technologies while implementing this one. Okay. And also we should think like whether it will work fine as a separate service or a normal traditional daemon which runs indefinitely, right? So some of the cases where, like, if you want to scale differently, right, like previously I said, it makes sense to have a separate service altogether, right, before having the sidecar itself. So yeah, this is one of the consideration that you need to have. And other thing is like some of the libraries are, let's say, uh, some of the implementations are very simple, right? So it's just an SDK plugin or kind of a like a Java plugin or a Node.js plugin that you need to attach to your main application, right? So that will have deeper level of integration. It will have less network overhead, right? So if you can simply integrate one plugin or an SDK in your main application, which acts like a sidecar, so uh, you should be, I mean, you should consider that scenario instead of going for a sidecar, right? So yeah, these are some of the issues or considerations that you can have, right? So yeah, some of the practical examples, like we'll go with a very simple one, right? So let's say if you are having a legacy application which is developed long time back, which doesn't have any HTTPS support, and then if you want to introduce HTTPS support for it, you can use sidecar SSL proxy, which is like our NGINX proxy. Also, we will use sometimes, right? Like in our application. So you can just add the proxy server, and this is also the certificate validation for this one will be handled by the sidecar, and the main application will handle the main functionality, and it will just route through the traffic. So this is a very simple example of having a sidecar for your main application. So little advanced example is like, let's say if you're using a log aggregator, all right? Let's say if you want to scrape all the logs from different services and put into some log aggregator like Graylog or some other tool, right? So what you can do is you can just implement a sidecar which will scrape out all the logs that you need for the microservice, like whatever the logs generated by that service, and then the sidecar can push all the logs that whatever generated from that application to the log aggregator. So this is a little advanced example of sidecar. And other example is the configuration management. All right. So let's say if you have some legacy app and it requires some configuration changes and all, right? So without redeploying or without changing any, without doing any changes to your legacy code, if you want to do some configuration management, you can deploy this as a sidecar. So what happens is like this configuration manager will sync the latest configuration from the cloud, and then it it updates to the file system. Okay, and then it gives a signal to the legacy app saying that okay, there is some configuration change happened, and then the legacy app will read from the file share system. So this way, any configuration changes that happens can be independently managed from your legacy application. So yeah, this is another example. And one very advanced example is the Netflix network flow exporter sidecar. So you can go and check out this blog. So essentially what it does is like, there are so many microservices that are running in Netflix, and it became very hard to actually visualize the network traffic, where they are going and how do we monitor and things like that. So what they have done is they have created a simple sidecar called network flow exporter. So what it does is it just gives you it just gets a tap of all the network metrics, whatever it has across different microservices, and then all the network logs are segregated into one tool, and then that tool has several visualization tools to actually look into it. So I can just open this blog once.
Is it like which service is talking to which service? And
Yes, yes. And also they are using this for network forecast analysis also. Like how is the network increasing over time, like how many number of users they are seeing, and accordingly they can scale their systems also. So yeah, network availability and service segmentation, validation, everything they can use within this one. Yeah. Yeah, see, this will consume like less than 1% of the CPU, the sidecar. Yeah, you can go, it is there in this presentation, you can check this use case.
oh, they use that eBPF. I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is like a more advanced use case of it, right? And yeah, coming back to our project use case, right? So in one of our projects, we have implemented Sidecar, like as Sudhir was mentioning, like this exactly does the same thing like RBAC and PBAC policy. So how it works is like you have two different users, right? Two different accounts or tenants. Let's say user one, which is from tenant one, and user two is from tenant two. So they have two different VPCs authorized for two different users, and they have their own privacy DB or like database on their end, right? And they can access and fetch the data and do some operations on that data. But they have, we need to implement some authentication and authorization on top of it, right? So what we have done is like user can set at the database level which user can perform what level of actions, right? Like a certain user A can do read operations, and user B can do write operations. He cannot update, delete. All those kind of policies are set, right? And they are ideally set through some admin tool, and they are stored via our backend service, and then they are stored in the database, right? And now instead of like for every fetch query that we don't have to go and fetch through the database and see if he has permission or not. And then the database is combined of all the customers or all the tenants all together, right? So what happens is when the customer once database loads up, it fetches all the policies or the rules for this customer alone into its cache. So we are using something called OPA cache here, like Open Policy Agent Cache. So it will load its cache from the database. And now when a user tries to actually do some query, instead of checking from the database, it will just check from the cache, and then it will either reject based on the permissions or it returns the data. And also similarly, if you go to customer 2, it will only fetch the roles or policies which are needed for customer 2 alone. And accordingly, it will serve respective user 2. And also we have a queue listener for both of these cache. Like if let's say if somebody updates a policy here, right? So it will also give a signal to policy agent. So we have like a Kafka queue listener here. So the moment you get any update happening to this one, it will update its own cache here. So this is one of the use case that we have it in our one of our projects.
So the service is aware of the sidecar, is it? The
Yeah,
customer one.
yeah. So this one, yes, yeah, it's aware of the sidecar.
Mm.
Right. So yeah, so this is the last slide. So any questions?
Maybe you can ask questions. uh, okay, is everyone aware of the underlying concepts, or is there something that needs a bit more clarification? Please feel free to ask actually. Why can't we do this as a separate service altogether, the policy agent?
Yeah, so yeah, we have other I mean, the use cases which we mentioned, right? Like it should share the same life cycle, and uh, other thing is like if you have the database, it is kind of slow because these are database queries. It should be very fast enough to do, and for every query we have to parse the query and check the permission of the fields that they have. So we can load the whatever data needed from the database into a cache, then actually hitting the database and implementing it as a sidecar means like we need that service or the policy agent, right, along with the life cycle of the main instance, right? And this policy agent sidecar is only specific to that customer one, like we have it separately, right? Yeah, and because it's also security issue also, because policy let's say customer one's policy shouldn't get mixed with the customer two's policy. They are all segregated in their own VPCs. So yeah, it falls under like whatever
Oh, they
considerations
are
that
all
we have
different
shown previously.
VPCs, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
And so,
every customer will have their own VPC. Yep.
so this privacy DB, is it like a physical database, or it in turn talks to another database and provides a layer on top of it?
Yeah, it is a layer on Cockroach DB. Like Cockroach DB is in turn written on Postgres. All right, so we have APIs on top of the privacy DB, where let's say if you are querying some data, so it will parse the query, check for the fields, and then check for the permissions if he has access to it, and then return it. Yeah, it is an API layer. There is an API layer on top of it. Like privacy DB means not actually DB. There's an API layer before the actual DB. Yeah.
And you used OPA, right? OPA, can we cover that a bit in terms of, is it possible to show some of the policies you have? How you, is it written in, which language is it written in your sidecar?
Golang. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure if I can show you the
But we can
like
go to
example
OPA,
policies.
site. I
Yeah.
think maybe OPA site.
Yeah, I did not cover that, Sudhir, in this presentation. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a different discussion altogether. Yeah.
But is it working pretty well, that OPA?
It's working, but there are some cache burst issues, like the cache updation sometimes doesn't happen, and even though user has set some policies, he is not able to retrieve some data. So those kind of issues happen, but changing the configuration of that cache has solved it. Like Kafka was also giving some old messages, so we fine-tuned those also, and after that it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, quick question. So, generally, in some of the applications, we use ELK stack for logging, right? Are you aware of that, Saket, already?
No, Pranava. No.
Yeah. So basically, what we do is our pods are basically the containers, write the logs. If you are using an Apache log 4J appender or whatever, you write logs to a file usually. And in the ELK setup, there is some listener which picks up these files like beats or something, which picks up these and then pumps it into Elasticsearch, where you can visualize the logs or something, right?
Right. So the scraper, you're saying, the log scraper.
So the log scraper, basically the beats, is it a sidecar? I don't think so. No, I don't think so, right? It's basically looking at the container.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It is not actually interacting with the container. Like container is placing the data somewhere. So it is reading it from there. Yeah.
So,
yeah, right.
Okay. In that case, like, is this a bad design, or maybe should we go for sidecar? Like you mentioned logging as a use case, right? So people should also know when to use what. That's why I'm asking from that point of view.
Right. So if you look at this example, right, it will closely, you can closely relate to your example, right? So the main application, uh, it will actually put it into some file or something, I mean, which can be your volume here. And this will, the sidecar container will actually read from the volume. And then, so from this example, it looks like it falls under the sidecar pattern only. But I think
Right.
there is a fine definition line of which one is a sidecar and which one is not. Looks similar
Yeah.
though, like whatever you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, the beads would be basically the the sidecar which is attached to that container or with
Yeah.
the water service.
Right.
Sudhir, does that analogy work, or are we thinking in different lines?
No, I didn't fully, catch it
So,
actually.
so this is about how we set up the TLK stack
Right.
with our services which write logs to a file. The container writes logs to the file, and then there's a Beats application which listens to that and pumps it into Logstash or Elasticsearch,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that makes sense to actually. I'm okay with it being implemented as a sidecar, actually, but
No,
I don't
I'm no,
hold.
I'm saying that does it fall under a sidecar? Can we imagine it as a
Yeah,
sidecar?
it could be. It should maybe. Yeah, sidecar pattern fits it. I think it's a different concern that you have to pull it into a different
Yeah.
logging
So,
infrastructure.
so Pranava, regarding that part, so we can actually configure a separate container as a shipper. So
Yeah.
what it will do
Okay.
is it will just runtime pull that log from the running application, and its job is to push those logs to the Elasticsearch. So
Mhm.
that kind of one of the use case if you wanted to use sidecar as a
Yeah.
log shipper.
So you'll contain that Beats application which listens to that file and
Yeah, right.
okay.
Mostly.
File beats. File
Yeah.
beats.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, I also have one question. So regarding this sidecar pattern, so in most of the use cases, I heard that it's used for kind of data processing for the main application.
Right.
So yeah, so can you give me any example of it?
So Netflix is the better example, right? Like we are, it is actually pumping all the network logs or the whatever logs that between microservices that are happening into different visualization tools, right? So if you look at this Netflix blog, which I said, I think this will give you more context, like how they are processing the actual data and then pushing it into side. And maybe there will be more examples online. If you search, you can find more apart from this one.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Akhil.
In my previous organization, they are using something like visualizing the tool for Grafana. They are used. I don't have that much idea. So same way they are using the ingestion for Druid and for visualization, and majorly they are focused on the analytics part for the results or how it will look, the monitoring things. So they are using Grafana tool.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, and Saket, I have one query. Like you showed one of the use case right in the 7th slide or something. So in the sidecar pattern, we
You
are
mean the
using
last
two.
one? This one?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So we are using two different tenants, right? They are using two different proxies. So can we add like a group proxy or sharing the, like we are using some catch mechanism also, right? Like opt catch something. So I'm not that much aware of those things. So like
Okay.
suppose can we distribute that catch things into information to these two tenants or group use or something? Like
But two
however we
different.
are, yeah, however we are, like suppose one user is not available, so what we are going to do, we are creating a new group and sharing the things to them, and someone will respond on that area, right? when we're creating a groups or something. So if I wanted to use the same data or distributing the same data with the group, so is it possible to apply here, or
You mean which group? Group in the sense like?
like here we are distributing the catch level, right? Catch data,
Yeah.
right? Or storing the
So
information in the cache.
I think over here it is something called the Open Policy Agent sidecar that they're. You can take a look at that Open Policy Agent. Actually, that's a nice project actually. So in terms of how policies are pushed to the sidecar, there should be some options to categorize them across different dimensions. If that's what you're looking for, actually. Just check that OPA once, actually. They have these declarative policies at application levels, and those are delivered to the appropriate sidecar.
Yeah. And I mean, there is some configuration also to this cache, like we have like tenant ID and account ID and things like that, which will tell like which one to group, like which policies to group into which customer. So that is how handled, at least in our case. Like Open Policy Agent also will have its own set of grouping internally. Yeah, we need to dig deeper into this one to understand it much better. Like how do we group these things inside the cache?
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I think we should be good.
Yeah. Thank you.
And yeah, there's, by the way, a nice program that LDP runs on DevOps. Actually, it will help understand all the networking concepts, the whole concepts around containers, then getting into Kubernetes. All those things are covered pretty well in that, actually. So if you are interested, please reach out to her and just see if you can join. All right, I think that's it. Then we can, thanks a lot.